Welcome back. We are discussing tax in Nigeria with the Honorable Minister of Finance, the Chairman of FIRS, analyst Ms. Damilola Akimbami, and Mr. Albert Folorisho, and of course my distinguished studio audience. Before the break, we were talking about issues of accountability. Now, in an earlier video on the program, we saw two people complaining specifically actually about the Federal Inland Revenue Service, and they say they were sort of in many ways extorted. You know, people came to their premises, shut them down, no due process. This is a complaint we've heard again and again. Is this something that you are aware of, and how are you dealing with it?
Well, mistakes can be made, but I'll say this publicly. I don't think we have enforced any company wrongly. We've had one or two cases where they're saying they're trying to reconcile their books, but to our minds, when we've given an assessment and we've waited for over a year and they have not provided any information to justify their position, and we're talking about organizations that sometimes owe hundreds of millions. You have an organization that will say we're trying to adjust our books, and when we go to enforce, they pay 400 million. I'm not too sure what company that was, you know, but maybe I'll find out later on. But I can certainly tell you that if we did it wrongly.
What is the process for getting redress if, you know, one feels that tax officers have come, behaved badly, but worse, even impacted on their business in the way that that woman described, where she said she had investors who literally walked out, and this is not something she thinks she can recover from?
Well, let me try and explain the process. Once we go and do an audit and we get data, an assessment is raised. Now, by law, they have the right to object. After they object with documents to show their own position, we'll look at it, and if we're convinced, we'll adjust the assessment. Once an assessment has been finalized, they're given 60 days to pay. Thereafter, if they don't pay, it's moved to what we call debt management. We have a section who try to follow up to get that money. Now, even with that law in place, we have added additional steps. We also have what we call non-compliance stickers. And we sometimes go to organizations and we stick that up to say that you are not tax compliant, to let even customers who might go there to know they're not tax compliant. It's more of like an embarrassment to them. And if they still don't pay, then based on an order, which I signed, a warrant, we go and distrain them.
Okay, but I'm asking specifically in cases where the mistake has come from you and you've sort of assessed them wrongly, like you said, and there have been consequences for their business. Is there any sort of redress at all, apart from them paying the right tax?
Well, let me put it this way. In the last 2.5 years that I've been in office, I'm not aware of any company that we have closed by error.
Okay. Let me go back to the audience, because so let's do the lady in yellow, the gentleman behind her, and then the gentleman behind him. We will try and get to you as quickly as possible. So, yes. Okay. Please keep it short.
My name is Rachel Ishaya, and I report for NAN. So the government plans to prosecute those that do not take advantage of the program. Yet we know that there is no ownership transparency in Nigeria. So how do you plan to unmask the real owners of these properties if you really want to prosecute?
Okay.
I'm afraid I'm totally with the government on this. My name is Ken, Professor Ken Ife. The question I would ask is, you know, the overall objective is to get the money from the people and not to take 50,000 people to court and we're all fighting and then it goes on forever. Many governors have been in court. We haven't seen anything. So, and at the same time, people should know that if they are over-assessed for tax, that there are recourse to appeal, process, and there may be restitution. It's got to be clear, because in VAT terms, we know that that happens. Also, we need to know what are you doing about some MDAs that have actually deducted the taxes and haven't remitted it to you.
Okay.
And then the companies are running from pillar to post trying to get the evidence.
Thank you, sir.
That, you know, again, that tax declaration.
Three things there. We'll come to them. Thank you. Okay, sir.
Thank you very much. My name is Mataya Zukwe, and I work for the Guardian newspapers. I'm concerned about going forward because, like Tope and the Prof just said, that we are spending money and time chasing people that have failed to do the right thing. Now, it's not as if the world is going to end tomorrow. It is likely that this kind of thing will repeat itself. So I'm asking the Honorable Minister, going forward, what measures have been put on ground to ensure that much of what is really, government should be deriving in terms of taxes, government gets it. For instance, Nigeria is not the only country. We have countries in the world. You can talk of America, you can talk of UK, where you can cite as example. And what is the key factors? It's the payment system. So the question really is, because we have too much cash here, and it makes it difficult for people to come and declare this. But if the money goes through the banks, like I know you are working with the banks.
Okay, sir, I really need you to ask your question. Okay. I've got an audio.
Yeah, the question is, what partnership are you doing with the central bank to see that they perhaps lower the cash insecurity, our payment system, to make it in such a way that payments are made only through the banking system,
so
because it makes it easier for government to collect
transactions.
such taxes.